What's going on, everybody? In today's build is not Celestial Nighthawk like you see on the screen. We are going to compare a build that I think is even better in terms of just damage output, survivability, and you don't need to run Celestial Nighthawk. You don't need to run necessarily prismatic if you don't want to. Of course, we're going to because, hey, we love prismatic. And we're going to compare those two builds together, can kind of see how well they perform in terms of damage, take it into some in-game content and see how well it can actually do with survivability, damage output, and just all around fun gameplay loop. Now, if you guys are new here, feel free to leave a like down below if you enjoy this type of content. Of course, if you feel so inclined to it, sub as well. Speaking of that, we are doing our 2K giveaway this video. So later in the video, we will be announcing the winner of our 2000 in-game silver later on. So feel free to stick around, and don't worry if you don't win today. We will be doing more videos and giveaways like this in the future, whether it's silver, whether it's Edge of Fate, the game itself, you know, who knows, and emblems as well. So we'll see what we get into down in the future. So stick around for that. But without further ado, let's break this down. To get the most out of this current setup, we are going to be using Celestial Nighthawk on Golden Gun, and we have 181 super, so we're tossing on a super font mod to give us that 200 super damage. Then to further increase it, we're going to sever the target, pairing that with Facet of Courage to get that extra damage on strand debuffed enemies, as well as proccing Radiant at the same time to give us the most amount possible so we get as much damage out of Celestial as we can. And we just lost our 200 super, so let's put that right back on. So right now, with just base Celestial, Radiant, and the Sever procced, let's see what we can do in terms of damage. 22,546. Hey, that is not bad at all. You could easily toss on Star Eater Scales if you want something different, which we're going to be utilizing in our next build, but we're not running Celestial Nighthawk. So we are going to switch this out really quickly with this build right here. We have on a Star Eater class item, though you can use normal Star Eater as well. We're going to create some Orbs of Power to get max stacks really fast, and then we're going to show you the damage comparison, break down this build fully, and get into the content. Okay, now that we have our full Star Eater Scales, Feast of Light ×6 procced, we're going to see what this build can do. So of course, you know, just because we are going to sever the target, it's going to give us that Radiant right there. We have 200 super. Yes, we are using the Strand super. I know it doesn't work for every single boss, but this thing with Star Eater Scales does insane damage. Now, all you gotta do is just light attack after light attack, and that put us at 30,000 damage, almost a full 8,000 damage more than Celestial Nighthawk did. Yes, like I said, it's not going to work for every single boss, but in terms of level grinding on whether you're doing Caldera or Fire Team Ops or Pinnacle Ops, you don't have to worry about far damage from bosses that are floating in the air or just completely out of that reach of your threaded or Silk Strike? Silk Strike, yes. You don't have to worry about that. It can work in a lot of dungeons. It can work in some raid encounters. But at the end of the day, level grinding, it will work phenomenal in terms of damage. It's going to outperform Celestial Nighthawk. And if you even want to toss on like Spirit of Galanor and you're going against ads or chunkier targets, you're going to get super back on just hits. Right now, we're sitting at almost half of our super just by using that and just a little bit of time for it to kind of come back. Now, to me, this build is utterly fantastic. It takes full effect and full advantage of the artifact mod. So let's break down exactly what we want this build to be using. Like, you don't have to be using Star Eater Scales. You can use you do want to be using Star Eater Scales, whether it's the normal Star Eater Scales or it's a class item. We're going to go with Spirit of Star Eater, and then, you know what? Toss on Spirit of Inmost Light. You can use Spirit of Foe Tracer, you can use whatever you want. We're going to toss in Galanor to get the most out of it back. Now, for the rest of the setup, in terms of just the subclass, we are running Threaded Spike, which just severs targets, though not necessary. I like it just for harder content. It helps the damage output in terms of enemies shooting us. Grapple Grenade just for getting around better. Ascension gives us that 15% reduction to damage. Now, Gunpowder Gamble did get a rework and a little bit of a buff. You get it back, one, insanely fast. You get it from any type of kill, any source. It doesn't have to be solar anymore, and it does less damage to you. Now, we do want to be running some specific mods, specifically, I said that twice. Facet of Purpose is going to be a go-to here to get Woven Mail on Orb of Power pickups. Then there's going to be Facet of Protection for further damage increase. Facet of Balance to get our melee back on light damage. Then our grenade back with darkness damage. Facet of Courage, so our Arc, Solar, and Void abilities do increase damage to void debuff targets. This will leave you with a 5th slot, which you can kind of fill with whatever you want. We're tossing on Facet of Justice just for the +10 super to get us up to 200 with that font mod. Now, there's some good artifact mods that you want to be using with this that are going to take full advantage of just the strand elements of this build. The first is going to be Tightly Woven. So while you have Woven Mail active, your class ability and your grenade stat will increase, giving you just higher regen time as well as more damage. Now, there's also Fever and Chill, so Rapid Solar Precision hits will grant you Radiant, as well as Rapid Precision kills will also grant you Radiant. Since we're playing Strand, we're going to be making Tingles. We want to toss on Threaded Blast, so destroying a Tingle with Strand damage makes it go boom really big. Then Cauterize Darkness, so Strand or Stasis debuffed enemies that are not bosses take increased solar damage from all sources. Then, of course, Elemental Daze. If you are running anything with champions in it, this just emits an elemental explosion when you stun them. Radiant Shrapnel to make those cool little mortars pop off of enemies anytime you deal damage on target when you're radiant or they're scorched. And lastly, Shield Crush is going to be a must-have, so we're going to have Woven Mail active extremely often. This allows our melee to recharge faster and deal increased damage. And then when we're amplified or radiant, our grenade recharges faster and again deals more damage. Though Grapple Grenade did get a little bit of a nerf in terms of changing it from multiplicative back to additive, it doesn't do as well, but hey, it still does a really good job. Now, for the rest of armor mods, really siphon mods to create orbs of power that feed into your Star Eater scales. For gauntlets, I like running heavy-handed. One, create an orb, then momentum transfer, so we get grenade reduced cooldown when you cause damage with a melee, then focusing strike, so it grants class ability when we cause damage with a powered melee. Now, health-wise, chest-wise, energy reinforcement, this is just for survivability, so when our shields become broken, we get damage reduction, resistance mod to match whatever activity we're doing, and then a strand ammo generation for our strand weapon. Leg-wise, we want to go again with just damage increase, really. So we're using a solar weapon surge. What this is going to do is give us a bonus to damage on our primary as well as our heavy weapon. Absolution, which will give us ability cooldown when we pick up an orb for every single ability. And because I'm lazy and I don't want to reload. And lastly, better already to get health regen on orb pickups. Now for our loadout, we're opting to go with, of course, Mint Retrograde, best special weapon in the game, hands down. Easily go get it if you don't have it. Then we're using the Yuletide Apex because one, it's extremely good. Comes with attrition orbs, create orbs just on sustained damage. Then incandescent to make stuff blow up. Now, Solar Weapon Surge comes in handy really well with Parasite. This to me is very slept on in terms of just viability and versatility. This will one-shot champions, just making it so much easier. Plus, if you're doing any type of content with like harder, chunkier targets, this thing just tanks them and just destroys them. So gone are the days of only using this for Aatrox. This thing is viable today. Go give it a try. You will not be disappointed. But without further ado, let's take this into the in-game and see how well this can actually perform in terms of survivability, quickness of defeating enemies, and of course, just damage output against bosses. For our 2K winner, that is going to go to EA Cives. If I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, I do apologize. He says, congratulations, your attitude towards the game and the players made me subscribe a few months ago, and I hope your community grows a lot more. My favorite exotic is Getaway Artist, and I don't have the same reflexes as when I started playing on my Atari 2600, so the Arc Buddy has saved my life more than once. Dude, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it more than you know. And don't worry, if you guys did not win today, we do emblem giveaways. We do and will do more giveaways like this in the future. So be subscribed, click that notification bell if you want to see when those are coming. And EA Cives, please drop down into my Discord link down below. Shoot me a DM over there and we will get you your 2K silver. Congratulations and thank you again for being a part of this community. Now back to the video. So we want to obviously modify this so we can get the most damage possible. Banes after Banes. We want to at least get a B+ tier going on over here. I like Glass Cannon. Just why not? We need one more, probably plus 10. So counterfeit, that'll give us a B plus. Negative 30 power, basically. We're going to toss on a stasis resistance mod because we're going to get some stasis baddies. And then you know what? Let's toss back on parasite because that's what we're using. So let's check this out, see how this can actually do in the salt mines. Negative 30 power under, actually even more, negative 34 power under, and see how well this build can perform. We're going to try to take full advantage of our super using one Star Eaters, but also Gallon Ore to see how fast we can get it back. So if we get it before, we're obviously going to get it before we hit the boss. We're going to see how well it will return and then see how well it can go against the boss because frankly, it's going to hit that damage gate super fast. It's the only bummer about solo stuff is like the bosses have damage gates, so you can't get a full grasp of how this build actually plays out unless you're running like fire team ops or pinnacle ops. But trust me, any activity that you're doing, this build is going to be good with. So we're going to get our amplified right there. Now we're going to get a couple kills real quick. It's going to proc that. So now we have our... Dude, words. Holy shit. Woven mail. Yeah, there we go. Words are difficult, guys. If you guys ever come check us out on stream, you know we can't speak. You know we can't read well, at least, let alone get our train of thought going. So we want to make sure we get a gunpowder gamble going into this because gunpowder, fun fact, can actually stun unstoppable champions. Pairing that with our parasite here, kills him. Easy. That's like this build will stun every single champion type from overloads because of our SMG. It's going to stun barriers with our pulse rifle, and then gunpowder stuns your unstoppables. It's an easy thing to run, especially as you get into harder content and you're going up against all champion types. It just makes it very, very easy. Luckily, we only have to worry about unstoppables here, but frankly, it wouldn't matter because we can do everything. Oh my god, I'm gonna get stuck. Thank God for amplified. Dude, some of the modifiers I put on for myself, I just question why I do that after I do it. But frankly, you know what? We're power grinding. We're trying to get to that 400 power cap so we can start getting tier 5s as often as we possibly can. So we have our super back. We'll use the super going into the next room. Now we have full heavy too, which frankly, we don't even need it. Parasite has a pretty high ammo economy for the amount of damage output that it can actually do, especially if you're using it to its fullest potential, getting the Worm's Hunger times 20 the whole time. Let's freeze him. And I missed, it didn't shatter him, that was actually crazy. There we go. I'm actually surprised that first time, like, my ascension wasn't close enough to shatter him. But hey, you know what? We do what we gotta do. Yeah, there's gonna be a fair amount of guys in here. Let's just see how much of our super we can get back. Probably, I don't know, 8, 10 enemies off that. Not that much on this one. I think it really does better with direct hits. But we'll see that. We'll see how much it does going into the boss room. Oh yeah, this door. Bad guys. Just killing some extra enemies to get more orbs of power. And we'll drop down here. Not down here, I'm an idiot. Drop up here. Get an orb from one, getting both those kills. Another orb right there. Actually, it was two. Dude, the amount of orbs you can create is just wild with attrition orbs paired with Reaper, Siphon mods. It just makes creating and getting your abilities back, your super back, survivability utterly insane. Another orb right there. You know what? Just because we can. Okay. Going in here to the next room, we're going to have our super back. That Bane is mean. Where do I go? It's so dark in here, you can barely see a damn thing. Now we have our super back going into the next room. We will save this for the boss fight solely because in here is more chunkier targets. There is an unstoppable coming up too. So of course, I always like going into a fight, proccing Ascension to get our amplified up. We don't need to worry too much yet about Gunpowder Gamble because we're going to get it back by the time that unstoppable comes up here. And then we also have prismatic, so that's a helpful thing. I don't even know the unstoppable is at. There he is. Reload that. Kill him. Easy. Of course, we want to amplify just for the survivability sake. Like, we've used 2 heavy shots so far, and I feel like with most other heavies, you're pretty much going to use the majority or a lot of your ammo in certain rooms or certain encounters. So one thing that's really good about Parasite is just so good for ammo economy. Plus, Mint Retrograde just tanks things. Okay, going into the boss fight. Full super. We're going to go ahead and proc our prismatic, because why not? Because we have better survivability. Come back here. That already hit his damage gate, so we're going to kill the rest of the adds with the super just to see how much actual energy for the super we can get back after this. So, a little over a quarter, so that's really not too bad. We have Worm Gods times 20. We're going to see what this does to him. Chunks him. No, he's over half. Okay, perfect. Dude, this is a lot of fun. And the one nice thing too is if you have elemental honing, it's relatively easy to get stacks up for this. And it'll give you like, what, 35% bonus damage to it too. Bait and switch is decent with this, but I think elemental honing is probably going to be your best 4th column slot. And this one's not even, this is like a base tier gun. Got our super back again, so we're just going to go ahead and kill this guy. If he wants to come and not run away from us. So you guys let me know, what do you guys think? Is this build worth giving it a shot? Is this something that you would want to run? The reason I wanted to compare it to Celestial Nighthawk at the beginning is because of how much damage this can actually do. If you guys enjoyed a video like this, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Subscribe if you guys are new. Thank you all so much for coming and watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.